I will briefly cover these 7 aspects of the essay writing process. Since art is a visual subject, the personal investigation should start with an impressive title page, which is visually interesting and uses an appropriate font. Usually, an art student uses an excellent quality photograph of one of their own artworks, or an image of their favorite artwork, which they refer to in their essay. When you create your title page, make sure that it includes a title, your name, and the word count in a big, clear, and easy-to-read font. High-quality essay title pages will make a great impression on the reader. Let's look at 3 examples. For this first title page, the student shows a close-up of their most iconic sculpture. The title is white against a flat, black background and has a clear font, Sans-Serif, which means without small lines at the end of the characters. This second student has a thick white border around their painting to give it impact and so that you can see the whole piece. For the title font, they go for style over clarity, with a serif font which makes it more challenging to read. I find the letters a little too long, vertical and thin, but it does have the appeal of a magazine. This student has a stirring and dramatic image by Otto Dix to draw the reader into their essay. The title is centered and has white letters against a flat, black backdrop. The entire essay must be over 1,500 words in length. It should have an introduction, a main body, and a conclusion. The introduction paragraph can be up to around 400 words. The introduction should clearly outline your area of study. Let's have a look at 3 examples. Feel free to pause the video at any point to read these introductions carefully. They demonstrate how someone can set out an introduction, but of course do not directly copy their writing. You can use these examples as inspiration to cultivate your own personal content. In this first introduction, a student expresses their interest in humanity's fascination across history with a broad range of other worlds. They steer their writing towards setting up Salvador Dali and other artists' exploration of the concept of alternative worlds, making it clear that the body of the essay will analyze examples of artists dealing with other worlds. This second introduction is split into 4 sections. In the first section, the student writes about the appeal of art relating to politics. In the second section, they define what they mean by politics. In the third section, they explain their definition of satire. And in the fourth section, they explain how politics and satire function together. This sets up the body of the essay to delve deeper into a variety of political and satirical interactions. This third introduction is separated into 2 sections. In the first section, the student starts with a dictionary definition of a book, which is then expanded upon and directed towards a more poetic and personal understanding of the meaning of a book. The section ends with a statement of their intention to analyze how artists have used books in artworks. The second section is devoted to examples of relationships between books and artworks throughout the centuries. They lead the reader through a brief historical tour and end with a more contemporary artist, Anselm Kiefer. This sets up the body of the essay for analyzing contemporary artists dealing with the concepts of books in artworks. The main body of text can be around 1,000 words in length. It should have clear paragraphs and a well-structured plan to secure a good flow. One way of creating simple and easy structure is to have a series of paragraphs that compare and contrast a variety of similarities and differences between 2 artists or art forms. In this paragraph, a student explores the differences and approaches of the artists Anselm Kiefer and Rachel White-Read to the concept of books. Before this paragraph, they had analysed artworks by the artists individually. Another way of creating structure is by using a series of paragraphs tackling a theme through a variety of angles. This student responds to their theme by examining multiple artists' satirical responses through a political timeline. In this paragraph, they write about James Gillray's satire. The work of William Hogarth was discussed in the previous paragraph, so at the beginning of this paragraph, Gillray's work is compared to Hogarth's work. The middle of the paragraph is a narrative about Gillray. The student cites sources for their information in brackets to add integrity to the facts. The end of the paragraph finishes with praise for Gillray's satirical style. The subsequent paragraph deals with another, more contemporary satirical artist. This student responds to their theme by analysing how alternative worlds are used in visual art forms from painting to virtual reality. In this paragraph, they finish analysing painting's approach to alternative worlds and begin by explaining how three-dimensional art differs. They then analyse examples of work by Yayoi Kusama, and they even mention seeing an original artwork by the artist in the flesh. Notice how the student uses figures in their text to link the titles of the artworks to images at the end of the essay. Between artwork descriptions, they add statements about the immersive qualities of these constructed environments. After this paragraph, the student makes observations about a range of scales of sculptures and installations. The conclusion paragraphs can be up to around 400 words. The conclusion can sum up the investigation by highlighting the discoveries of the body of the essay and linking the investigation to your own practice in implicit or explicit ways. This student writes their conclusion by systematically describing the main points of each of their paragraphs covered in the body of their essay. Links to the student's own practice are implied but not explicitly mentioned. This student splits their conclusion into two sections. The first section expresses enthusiasm and opinions reached through studying a timeline of satirical artists. The second section explicitly presents their intention to broaden satirical experimentation in their own work. This is the final paragraph of a longer conclusion in which the student decides to analyze a series of their own paintings which complements the deductions they made in the body of their essay. In the previous paragraphs, the student analyzes and compares Anselm Kiefer and Rachel White-Read's work in depth. This is an example of the student explicitly relating the investigation to aspects of their own practice. The illustrations come after the essay conclusion. Each artwork that you reference in the essay must be labelled in the order artist, title in italics, date, material, and size in centimeters. These images can be embedded into the text or placed in an appendix at the end. This student decided to embed their images into the text, as did this student. This student decided to put all of their images together at the back of their essay. They use figures to connect their images to the text in the correct places. You should aim to cite at least 3 books, 3 journal articles, and 3 websites in your essay, and make sure to credit the authors in your bibliography. Use guides on the internet to make sure that you reference authors in an appropriate format. Now that the essay structure has been discussed, it is necessary to present a step-by-step timeline of how to go about generating your own essay. Step 1. Create a punchy title and research plan which can be identified and discussed with your tutor. Step 2. Out of discussions, a reading list and gallery visits will be outlined. Step 3. The plan will then be written with the help of your tutor. Step 4. Generate the introduction paragraph of up to 400 words. Step 5. Feedback will be given by your tutor. Step 6. A first draft of the whole essay will be written. Step 7. Feedback will be given by your tutor. Step 8. A second and third draft will be completed. Step 9. Feedback will be given by your tutor. Step 10. Final submission will be reached. In this video, I presented you with tips for writing a personal investigation for your Art A-level. I spoke about the title page, essay, introduction, body and conclusion, the illustrations, bibliography, and a plan. I hope that this video has been useful to you and that you are successful in your writing at A-level art. Feel free to send me questions in the comments if there are aspects of the process for which you need clarification.